Private Iyer.
Good morning, Sergeant Bush.
How was the weekend?
Had a good weekend.
Great job on the PT test. Hooah!
What?
This guy, young, very young kid, you just want to know really what happened. I mean, he's all bubbling. We're talking one day, and the next day, he's just laying there.
So Wednesday morning at PT, our first sergeant, who worked with him every day, had a hard time telling everybody else. It was tough to swallow.
Ma'am, it's Staff Sergeant Michael Bush. Yes, ma'am. Ma'am? Yes, ma'am. Master Sergeant Gilroy told us the morning after it happened. Ma'am, I volunteered for the duty. Yes, 1100. I'll be there.
Well, I knew the tasking was gonna come, so I beat the tasking by volunteering.
I thought it'd come without the, outside the unit. He's like, no, Sergeant Major wants one of us to do it, and First Sergeant wanted me to call you first. So I was like, okay. I was like, yes, I'll do it.
I know his wife and my wife had discussed it. Why have somebody escort his remains who didn't know him, who doesn't really care, as opposed to somebody who could?
You have to maintain professionalism, no matter how close they are. You work through it. It's an honor. I wouldn't trade it for the world.
First sergeant and sergeant major called the parents, informed them, and they asked me would I escort the body back. Not a problem. I felt like I owe his family an explanation, because it is my watch. So all responsibility does fall towards me.
I really thought that I was just gonna get on a plane and fly there, and that would be about it.
I didn't know where I was supposed to be, how I was getting there, what should I bring with me.
They don't know what to expect. They get the call, they knew the soldier, we help in every aspect, but there's still an apprehension out there for these soldiers.
Saw him the night before he died, and he seemed fine. Sorry.
That's okay. How well did you know him?
Just knew him from work, We didn't hang together.
Was he a friend of yours? Do you know the family? Do you think you can handle this? And you can tell by their answers how they really feel.
This is a difficult duty.
Yes, ma'am, I'm aware of that.
The family will probably be very emotional, and you're gonna have to view Private Iyer. What do you think? Can you do this?
Yes, ma'am. I can do this.
Good.
They come through the CAC, we give them a dynamic brief, which talks about every possible aspect, family dynamics, money situations we take care of with credit cards, we take care of rent-a-car.
And they'll walk you through everything you need to know, and they'll do everything they need in their power to make it easier.
They have a checklist that they go through. It tells you everything you need to have done, everything that they do on their part, who you're going to meet when you land. It basically tells you everything that you have to do step by step.
These are the sentimental personal effects you're going to give to the pad. Just a few. Oh, this might have been a gift.
I got that same gift. See?
After they fill you all this information, you're looking at all this stuff, and the whole time I'm thinking about him, and what it's gonna be like. The whole time I never leave my mind. Am I gonna be able to, hold myself together? And for the first part, it was like I want to be professional. I want to be there, honor him, and at the same time, it's like, I can't believe I just lost my friend.
Your main responsibility as an escort is to examine the body, make sure his uniform's straight, his makeup, he looks proper, and then you have to make sure the caskets, there's no dings, no damages.
There's a sheet that you go through inspecting everything. As the casket's concerned, you pretty much can walk around and tell if there's any kind of deficiencies. You look at it in different angles of the light, and you can tell if there's scratches or scuffs.
And they had wrong awards, and
that's the hardest part, when you gotta actually get in there and straighten his hat up, or straighten his uniform, his award. And you actually have to touch the soldier.
I mean, if it's something I've never done, I'm going to research it, make sure I'm doing it right. I don't want to wing my way through it, especially with something like this. He was a friend, and he's a soldier. You want it to be done the right way. You don't want to have it wrong, because I wouldn't want it wrong for me. You're trying to do it the way you're taught, through your whole military career. You treat him with honor and dignity because he's deceased.
Each airline handles the situation a little bit different. We met down in the cargo bay, and I basically submitted his airline ticket for him, and I had to sit there and weigh in dress uniform, and then right beforehand you get escorted to the plane with the body.
It's good.
You have to make sure that you get the body on the plane, make sure it's secured properly, and then when it's being put on the plane, you have to salute it. And then you come back, they escort you right onto the plane. It's just make sure that you're doing, like, you look good and you're doing everything right, because everyone's looking at you.
You representing the whole Army. Everybody's, because the whole trip you're in Class A. And
they know that you're in that uniform, you're carrying a U.S. flag, that it's not a good thing.
When you're on the plane, they announce what you're there for.
On both flights, they announced that we are carrying the remains of a fallen soldier on his way back to his final resting place.
They think it's for our service and everything.
I informed the flight attendants and the pilot, like, I'm escorting a fallen soldier. He's like, okay, I got you. He's like, you'll be off the plane first.
His feet is coming out first, right?
If there's somebody that doesn't look like they're doing something right, you stop them immediately and say, hey, this is what you need to do. And they'll listen. It's not a suitcase.
It's good.
Because they realize, it is a very honorable thing and very important and careful thing that they are doing. And
family was already there and they were waiting, and his mother really took it hard. At the time it was snowing extremely bad, and as soon as the casket started coming out on the rails, she immediately fell to the ground, and it tore me up. But the thing that I guess stuck with me is I know she was upset, I know she was mad, and I never hold against anybody. But she was saying that we killed her baby. From the airport to the funeral home, I was still with the body. And I heard it from the time I got there to the time I left.
Once we got to the funeral home, the father wanted to see his son. And we had to do a final inspection with the funeral director there. This is where we ran into some problems.
What is this?
Yeah.
This.
Where?
Right here on his collar. Looks like a stain. What is it?
After flight, there's always a possibility of them leaking fluid, which can be surprising, can be disturbing at best.
It's a little embalming fluid, but it's okay. It'll fade when it dries.
Yeah, it may, but
The stitches weren't sealed very well, and a lot of embalming fluid came out of the soldier.
That's really the only thing that I didn't really prepare myself for.
no, he needs a new shirt, or we have to get this one cleaned. It's got to be right.
Okay.
I'd say it's been okay so far. But I meet the family tomorrow, so yeah. But you know, I'm looking forward to seeing you again.
I was extremely nervous. Didn't know what I'd say, what was going to happen, but
the hardest part is not wanting to screw up. Because, I mean, for me, it was my own soldier, and I wanted to give him every bit of honor that he deserved. They wanted to have a private viewing with him, and it was their choice whether or not I was in there. And they decided that they wanted me there. So I stood at the casket at the position of attention for an hour. And it was hard on my back, it hurt, but I really didn't care, you know. My thought was to honor him and, you know, to be at my best for the family.
Did you know John well?
Sort of. He was a great guy. Everybody in the unit liked him.
There was a lot of people who would be like, well, did you know my son?
You really have to watch what you're gonna say. You don't want to say too much.
He scored a 300 on his PT test, and that's a perfect score.
Then why did he die? What happened?
Ma'am, it's under investigation. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Sergeant. We'll get you reports as they become available.
Being in his chain of command, it felt like I should give him the answers.
You're not there to speak for the Army. You're just doing an official duty for the Army.
You only know what you know. So what I knew, I told him, but it was a lot of unanswered questions.
You would not expect how emotional families get and how many different sides of feelings you'll see with anger and upset. And
the situation was kind of odd though, because he was married and she had kids, but the family, I guess, didn't respect the marriage. And they just cast the wife off as if she was just not a part of the situation. And you hate to see that. Don't shut yourself off. Don't be so stuck up and so scared to where you can't be a person. Because they see the uniform, but they need to see the person.
I'm sorry about your loss.
I think that really goes a long way with the family.
He'll be missed.
I think it made it easier that I knew him instead of escorting somebody that I had no idea who it was, because I don't know what you'd say to someone. You know, if they ask you to tell you something about their son or daughter and you don't have anything to say because you never knew him.
My weakest point was when I was at the funeral home and they're coming in to do a final viewing. that is the toughest part. Because you see each family member come by and say goodbye in their own way. And I had tears running down my face. It would have been the same way if I hadn't known him. But you gotta try your best to maintain your composure.
And at the end, I mean, it did finally hit me, you know, when you're there and you're saying your last goodbyes. But, you know, through the whole process, you know, up until then, it was, you know, I was just there for them. You know, none of them knew it, but I had my own time whenever I was alone. Had my grief.
You have to be professional. You let it all out when they're not around.
Because it helps you stand stronger while you're at the funeral home and at the actual funeral.
But whenever I put that uniform on and I go in front of them, it was all about them.
Thank you for honoring my son. Thank you. I truly appreciate it. Great job, Sergeant.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Michael. You take care of yourself.
Yes, ma'am.
This is all about honoring the soldier. This is his last moments for him and his family to be honored for who he was.
300 on a PT test. Whoa.
I had to be strong for them because they're going to lean on you, and it's okay.
But I think it stopped the grieving process. I knew I had to be more professional in the public eye.
Once I left the cemetery, that's when a lot of weight was lifted off my shoulders. And I was able to relax, and because I knew Staff Sergeant Robinson, I was able to mourn myself.
I still haven't, you know, fully let go yet. I mean, I just don't want to think bad or think he's gone, you know. I mean, you know, I still got his phone number in my phone.
Hit me hard when I was at work one day and somebody called his name out. You know, looking for him. And that's when it really hit.
So I mean, it doesn't just go away once you leave.
Escort duty is not for the weak of heart, because the events in itself will tear you down.
It was tough to swallow to do that job for somebody you know. It's still tough to do it for somebody you probably don't know. It takes a lot of courage, honor, and you gotta stand strong.
In your mind, you have to have the mindset that I'm here to honor this soldier, and I will honor him to the letter as best I can until he's placed into his gravesite.
A lot of soldiers kind of look at stuff like this as a detail, and I hate to use that word. It's more of an honor to do that. They say you never leave a fallen comrade, and it's one of our warrior ethos, and it's something that I think every soldier should take to heart.